This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the GSMC Sports Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jeff Malinoff, and with me, as always, is Mark Souza. We got some things to talk about in the world of sports, obviously, mostly NFL and NBA stuff, because that's just how the world works at the moment. Those are the two biggest national sports going on right now. Hockey is too, but
soccer doesn't get enough respect.
Not in America, no. Sorry.
Unfortunately, the best league in the world is going on right now, but, you know.
Yeah, the NHL.
No.
The NHL is actually heating up. There's actually a big surprise in the New York Islanders, who were basically the joke of the league, are now in first place last time I checked.
Nice.
So it's like the Jets being in first in the AFC East, sorry.
So
that's how I look at it.
Very uncommon is what you're saying.
It's a full moon.
It's also possible to be an Islanders and a Jets fan, which is unfortunate.
It is rough.
Hopefully you're a Yankees fan.
Yeah, or if you're a Mets fan also.
That is weird that the Mets and the Islanders have the same colors.
I think the Mets were
They're blue and orange, right?
Yeah. But of course, the if you just want to hear, the Lightning have 76 points, and the second place team in their same division has 62.
This is a rare hockey.
Hockey's heating up. It's after the All-Star games.
It's funny that you say heating up because it's
on ice.
Down,
I get it.
You know?
But there's a lot of potential great matchups in the playoffs. The playoffs are coming up not shortly, but in the later coming months, and we're gonna be talking about NHL a lot more when the playoffs come, because that's one of the most exciting times in sports, the NHL playoffs. If you don't watch hockey, I recommend watching the NHL playoffs.
I can always rely on one thing in the NHL playoffs.
Excitement?
I can rely on one thing every single year, and that's the Sharks are going to disappoint. They're going to somehow fail.
Yeah, well, they actually made it to the Stanley Cup a couple years ago.
They did, and then what happened?
That was a fun moment. They lost. They lost only in 6. Granted, they were supposed to lose in 4 or 5. Yeah, but it's one of those things where you don't even need to have a favorite team to like hockey playoffs.
Absolutely.
Because
hockey playoffs are great.
Oh, they're awesome. That's why I'm super excited for them.
I got a question. What's better? What postseason is better, hockey or March Madness?
That's a tough one. They're both. Well,
is March Madness just better because of the whole bracket thing? Like the bracket,
and the betting, and also that
it galvanizes like everybody who doesn't even care about basketball.
It's also one game that decides it.
March Madness is cool because you don't have to care. Like, at least for hockey, you kind of have to be a sports fan to enjoy the playoffs. You don't have to be a sports fan at all to enjoy that March Madness.
Oh, yeah.
You can just, because if somebody puts a bracket in front of you, you fill it out.
Yeah.
I don't know who to pick. Oh, well, this mascot's a Wildcat.
Yeah,
and this one is a
Chicago,
Tiger.
Lay them on Chicago. I wonder how everyone picks them in the Final Four. Oh, wow, they made it. But the thing is with the hockey playoffs is you don't need to be you don't have to have a favorite team. That's a big.
That's true.
That's a huge comparison between that and like the NFL and NBA playoffs, because I feel like you have to have a favorite team in those perspectives.
Also, fun fact: today is the last day of January. We're close to March.
Yes, we are. We are 1 month away from March, and I will be in Hawaii in March.
I think is it 5 weeks from March Madness? I think March Madness usually starts like second week of March. So.
Yeah, because the first week they do the first 4 tournament type thing.
They also do the conference tournaments, right?
Yeah.
Before, okay.
That is a beautiful time for sports as well. But
March is like the golden.
Oh yeah,
because like where we live, March is like maybe the best month because it's like where it's starting to get warm.
It's like 70 to 75. Oh, it's perfect
it's
weather.
like shorts weather, but then it's like It's that month where
it's a nice
it's
breeze.
a
as
little
well.
too cold to wear shorts all the time, but you are stubborn and you wear shorts all the time.
Oh, but it's a nice breeze also, though. Like if it's cold, there's just a nice calm breeze. It's not too much.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, let's move on to one of the most important days of the year coming up, and that's the Super Bowl. Roger Goodell is actually talking in the press conference during this media week as it's progressing, and he has been silent, very silent, since the controversy in New Orleans that they actually filed lawsuits against the NFL for.
Yeah, how are those working now, huh?
I haven't heard anything about them since the lawsuits actually made it.
Have they been thrown out yet?
I don't even know if they've been thrown out or not.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's been
Oh, he
quiet.
also made comments about Colin Kaepernick as well, which is very interesting to me. Actually, I want to talk about that real quick first because the Kaepernick's lawyers responded to this. And, well, what he said was just, I think he was just saying, like, if he was talented, if he could help a team win, then you'd be signed or something of that nature. Like, more talking about his talent than anything else. Mm-hmm. And his lawyer is quote in saying, I think the commissioner was roasted appropriately on social media. The whole thing is basically a ruse. The collusion actually was the NFL kowtowing, kowtowing
Yeah.
to the president.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're basically calling him BS.
They're basically saying
You're full of
the
it.
president of the United States is what that was saying, right?
It was
To the president, I mean.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then he also made the comments about the officials, and basically what he said is they're human, and like we have the best camera work in the world, we have the best referees in the world, we have the best players.
It's possible they actually do have the best referees in all the major sports.
No
honestly.
one would accept that. No one.
Well, I'll
no
tell you,
social
they're
person.
at least not the worst. I'll tell you that. I can guarantee you.
Oh, I agree with that. But there are some calls that you look at and like, how do you miss that?
I feel like baseball umpires are pretty bad too. I know that NBA is the absolute
That's
worst.
the thing. Baseball umpires, their strike zones are personal opinion based. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like they decide where their strike zone is, and that it costs some games because sometimes you're having an umpire that has a horrible strike zone or a wide strike zone or a small ass strike zone, and then there's the other umpires like on the field that call outs and saves, and those are really debatable as well. Fortunately, there is reviews now for that, but I think there should be more reviews for maybe some like strike three calls, maybe. But that's my opinion.
Yeah.
But anyways, what Roger Goodell is saying, he's basically defending his referees, which is everyone expected that. It took a long time for him to state the obvious.
Okay.
Is that okay? Is that right to say?
I don't think he should have spoken until he did, to be honest. That's my opinion.
I just think he was just, I don't know. A lot of people were worried why he was so quiet. I'm not sure what the situation was. Maybe it was the right time to say it, but I don't know.
I just don't think that he could have said anything before he addressed the media yesterday that would have appeased anybody. I think.
Regardless what he said, no one would be happy about it, but I think it's more the lines of like taking the bullet. I don't know. I'm just trying to.
I mean, I understand
from a fan's perspective. You got to look like, why did he take so long?
I mean, I guess I don't know. I feel like what he said yesterday was exactly what he would have said last week, and we'd still feel the same.
I think everyone
way.
was expecting that same response.
I think he was right to not say anything. Back away from it. Let
it settle.
Well, yeah, let it. The heat of the moment, like, kind of settle down, let it cool off for a minute, because I think all he would have done, based on the timing, is kind of throwing gasoline on that fire, with comments. So, I don't know, man. Like, I'm not someone who defends Roger Goodell. I don't care for Roger Goodell. I think a lot of his decisions and a lot of things that he says especially regarding punishments, players getting in trouble off the field, I find him to be hypocritical at times. I find him to be unfair at times. I'm not one to defend him at all. But on this particular instance, I don't think he could have done anything different that would have been better. I really don't, because Saints fans are upset. NFL fans are up in arms. And
But
he could have said
you
same thing. He didn't say, what did he say yesterday? He said what a normal commissioner would say. He didn't give any concrete answers. He answered the questions with a lot of vague responses. We'll look into fixing this. We'll look into the differences. But what I did find interesting from what he said was that these teams have always voted against expanding replay. And there's something to that. So it's hard to get mad at him because the Saints or another team aren't able to challenge a particular play like that. Will referees always get calls wrong? Yeah, they will.
Yeah. It's going to happen regardless because referees, like he said, are human. So it's going to not – everyone's in a different perspective when it comes to that. And the thing with Roger Goodell – I saw this quote. I forget who. I think it was just a fan or maybe a reporter on like Twitter or something. But he said Goodell's silence is deafening, and it makes sense when you think about that because everyone
Who said that though?
It was someone on. It was
Ben Watson, right?
Was it Ben Watson? No, I don't think
it was
his
a Saints
name.
Player.
Was it? Was that what he said?
Yeah, and he said that, and of course he's upset. I mean,
but I understand what that means, though. It's a good. It's a good way of describing it because that's like, well, say something. Like it's like, I get what that means. You know what I mean?
I get what that means. I just completely disagree with that statement because I don't. There's nothing he could have said. I mean, like, what would have been the proper response from him? Is what I'm wondering. Like, what would have fans been?
Sucks
cool?
To be you, New Orleans, and walks out.
Yeah, like what would have fans wanted him to say? That's all. That's what I'm going to ask. If you have that opinion,
there's nothing
that's cool.
to
I'm just
say. Yeah.
wondering what he could have said that could have helped the situation.
Mm-hmm. I think there's nothing to say, but I think
like the NFL already admitted they were wrong, right? They called Sean Payton right after the game. So if they called him, they already said, "Hey, look, we screwed up."
Yeah, but isn't that? Would it be better to say it publicly than just to him personally?
I think that's publicly, right? Like they publicly. I mean, they called Sean. I don't know. Like, what were they supposed to put a statement out? We called Sean Payton and we said we were sorry.
I don't know.
I don't know, man.
It's a touchy subject too.
It seems like this is just like really petty. Like, okay, he didn't say anything right after he addressed the media. It was a terrible call. Probably the worst call in NFL history. At least in our eyes it is because it's so new and so fresh. Perspective is sometimes lost. So in my opinion, it's the worst call ever. But I'm sure somebody out there will tell me, no, actually this call was the worst call ever. Okay, whatever. But regardless, terrible call. I just don't know what they were supposed to do other than say, hey, we screwed up and we can do things to fix this screw up in the future, but the whole league has to agree on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what he said yesterday, and I'm with him on that. You know, I mean, this is something that they've tried to expand replay in the past. You know, they've done that. They've tried to, and it's been voted down. And it's like, okay, well, the teams didn't want it then. Maybe they'll want it now.
Yeah. It's just again, it's always a touchy subject.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're never wrong. Like you're never going to be right or wrong. People are going to disagree with him regardless of whatever happens.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the way it works. That's just the way the cookie crumbles, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And with the Super Bowl coming up, we'll do our predictions and stuff tomorrow. But just looking back at all the Super Bowls that have happened, and we all think of like Tom Brady and think of the Rams. It's interesting how each of them got there when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it wasn't too long ago the Rams were Jeff Fisher's 7-9 team.
Right.
And then they get this new guy in Sean McVay, and we're all like, we didn't even know who he was really when he came in as the Rams head coach. He wasn't very known publicly.
Mm-hmm.
And then first year out, 11-5, and they didn't get to Super Bowl, obviously, but second year, like you were saying, I believe earlier this week, that this is one of the most outstanding turnarounds for a team in maybe history.
Yeah, you could say that.
Because they looked dead, and they looked like just a mediocre team for years to come. Did they not? Like Jared Goff.
Well, they had some talent. I actually thought they were a pretty talented team with Jeff Fisher. I just thought Jeff Fisher held them back. We are talking about a team that just invested in Jared Goff, Todd Gurley. They had some young players. I don't know. I thought they had a pretty decent team. But, they're a team that they always gave the Seahawks problems. Even during Seattle's really good run, they seemed like they'd beat them almost every time they played, at least half the time. And that was with teams that went 4-12, 7-9, like you said, 6-10. But yeah, it's been an incredible turnaround. But I do think that there was talent there. Aaron Donald was there. I mean, it makes it a little bit easier to turn a team around when there's a lot of talent on the roster. So, no, they had some talent. But, I think it speaks to how good McVay has been and how quickly he was able to gain the respect of his players. A young coach coming in, first-time head coach, and it seems like they enjoy playing for him and they respect him, which is
that is incredibly a generous, humble thing for him because he's such a young coach. Some players are older than him, and you're looking at it like that. That is very hard to come by, to get respect that quickly from a team. There's something about him that just brings people together, brings the players together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, being so young, being a first-time coach, it is interesting. You have a guy over Deshaun Jackson. Deshaun Jackson said yesterday that he'd like to play for the Rams. Did you see that?
Yeah, that was kind of interesting.
Deshaun Jackson is he older than older than Sean McVay?
Was Sean McVay 33?
It's got to be
Jackson's got to be 34th? He's got to be around there, right?
He's got to be close. So Deshaun Jackson's publicly saying he wants to play for the Rams, which is
that's not gonna. I don't think that's
interesting.
I don't know what that's gonna transcribe. I don't know if they will even make an offer to him. So
Deshaun Jackson is 1 year younger than Sean.
Really?
McVay. Yeah, he's just turned 32. McVay just turned 33. So
the thing with that is he has been struggling at the end of his career. You know what I mean? It's just is he going to be a difference maker with that team? I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
Will he just be a veteran that other guys can look for advice to, or what do you think what would be his role on this team?
Yeah, I don't know. They don't have to get rid of him. He is under contract next year for $10 million. They could get rid of him. They have an out in his deal where they don't have to pay him any money if they cut him, the Bucs, that is. So I think he probably will get cut, but you never know.
Yeah.
You never know, actually. Is Bruce Arians there? He likes to throw the ball down the field.
Bruce Arians did want to talk to him to try to convince him to come back. That was
I actually would be surprised if Deshaun Jackson's not there because that offense seems to fit him very well. He's a downfield receiver. Arians likes to throw the ball down the field. Jameis Winston's got a pretty good arm. Yeah, I would be actually very surprised if they didn't bring him back. $10 million for 1 more year doesn't seem like a whole lot to give up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's now, compared to everyone else, he's kind of like chump change at the moment compared to most receivers. So it wouldn't be a big hole in the pocket. It would just be kind of taking a spot from someone else that maybe is a better player at the moment than he is,
Mm-hmm.
But I understand why Arians wants him. I understand why he wants to go to the Rams. There's two sides of this coin. But honestly, I feel like he would be better fit for Arians' offense.
Yeah.
Like you said, he loves throwing
he
deep.
would be a good fit for the Rams too, but the Rams don't need him. They got 3 good
They
receivers.
have Winston, who has a cannon of an arm, and then they have Deshaun, who loves going deep. Arians is salivating at that, is he not? If he has the opportunity to use that.
Yeah, I would think that Arians would want that on his team, so we will see. Anyways, I think we should probably go to a break.
Sure, we can go to a break.
We have some NBA stuff to talk about.
We do have NBA stuff to talk about,
Anthony
and
Davis especially.
We will invest in Anthony Davis. But first, I want to talk to you about more investing, because when investing and planning your retirement, it's always best to get advice from the experts. Best-selling author Harry Dent, America's #1 economist, says the dark window is open. There's an opportunity to rapidly boost your retirement savings before the greatest stock market crash in American history. But this dark window won't be open for long. You can make up to 10 times the annual average stock market gain in just a few short months. Find out more by going to www.harrydentforecast.com harrydenforecast.com. There is a very short time to take advantage of this dark window opportunity. So go to www.harrydenforecast.com to learn more.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines. They got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
So you were telling me on break that Kevin Garnett's still making money from the Celtics?
$5 million a year until 2024.
Isn't that great? He doesn't have to do anything in making $5 million.
Yep.
Sounds like a certain baseball player that everyone has a day to celebrate on July 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that this? I love that Bobby
Bonilla.
Thank you, Bobby Bonilla hasn't played a inning of baseball in years, and he has a day celebrated for him because he makes $1 million for the next till 32 or something like that. 2032.
I think that's what happens when you win the lottery and you have the option of doing the yearly payments. That's what Bobby Bonilla is.
That's probably the better option too when you win the lottery. Or would you rather have it all at once?
Disagree.
You would rather have it all at once?
Absolutely. Not even close.
Because you think it'll be gone? Like they won't give you all the money?
First off, you will get more money if you take the lump sum.
Okay.
Second off, you're not at the mercy of taxes. Taxes always rise. That means they'll take more and more of your money every single year.
That is a fact, yeah.
Instead of a one-time tax.
I just think it'll be a little more
also,
you'll be more at risk having all that money.
Well, if you can't handle it, then you're going to screw up. I get that. But if you can handle it and, let's say, get people to advise your money, you would take a bunch of that money, put it in low-index stocks, and then that money would just start making lots of money.
You mean investing? I mean, where can you find great investing? www.harrydenforecast.com. That was an unplanned plug, but that worked perfectly.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, if you can't trust yourself, if you're somebody who's undisciplined, I would take the yearly payment. But if you're somebody who can, make good decisions, get the right people around you that can make good decisions, put money away that you don't touch for 20, 30 years and let that money make money for you.
Yeah. That's why I feel like you should only tell people that that will help you in the long run. You know what I mean? Like, tell people that can help you invest in stocks and, if your father's really good with investing, you can talk to him saying, I won this lottery. Do not tell anybody, but can you help me invest this so I can be safe? Can you trust? You would obviously can trust your father, I would assume, right?
I can personally, but
I don't know
also. If everybody can.
True, very true. But I know personally I can trust my father with that kind of thing because he actually knows some guys in the stock. He has investor friends, so it's better to do that. But anyways, we're moving on. NBA talk now. We have kind of a big game tonight. Raptors and Bucks, as well as Warriors-Sixers. Mm-hmm. And with this Warriors, do you see? I'm just gonna ask you straight up. Do you see it? They're moving on to 12 wins in a row.
Yes.
They're not losing another game, are they? They're actually going to go on that 50-some-odd game winning streak.
Pick them to lose until they lose. That's for sure. If you tell me the next 5 games, I'll say they're going to win. And then if they lose, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true. But again, it's not an easy feat against the 76ers. It's not going to be easy. But I think the main game we got to talk about is two teams fighting for the first place in the East. That is Milwaukee and Toronto. And I mean, that's weird to say. Milwaukee and Toronto are the teams we're looking at. It just, but what do you see in this game? What do you see happening?
Milwaukee and Toronto. A good basketball game with
the
two really
the over
good stars.
under is 229 and a half.
Okay, yeah, I could see it. That sounds about right. Hard to say either way.
Mm-hmm. And the Raptors are favored by 2.5 points, which is actually
They're at home.
Yeah, they are at home. That's probably the key reason.
Yeah, I say the Raptors will win this game.
It's going to be close. It all depends on the two MVP candidates for each team. And that's
I say they win by 10 points.
Really? 10 points.
And they hit the over.
Oh, okay.
118, 108.
Okay. Well, the other thing I want to talk about, what I forgot to mention that the Warriors are also 9.5-point favorites, which is a big difference between them and the Raptors and Bucks, which makes sense.
Warriors are playing 76ers tonight?
Yeah, at home, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, the Warriors are at home. 76ers are on their West Coast trip right now. They just played the Lakers. Now they'll play the Warriors, and they'll play Sacramento on Saturday. Yeah, the Warriors are going to take care of business.
Yep. The Grizzlies won by a cat buzzer beater. A little jump shot to seal the win against the poor Memphis Grizzlies, just getting kicked while they're down, man.
Are we going to talk about Anthony Davis? I feel like that was the main topic of the NBA.
Yes. There is talk that New Orleans is not interested. They do not want to deal Anthony Davis to the Los Angeles Lakers, even though they might give them one of the most attractive offers out of anybody.
Yeah.
Is it because it's a Western Conference team?
Sounds like there are murmurs, I should say, of possibly Anthony Davis has already played his last game for the Pelicans. That was something that I mentioned the other day, was I wouldn't play him now that I know that he wants to leave, because I don't want him to get hurt. And I don't care about winning any more basketball games because I know my team's not going to the playoffs. I know my team can only hurt their position in the draft by winning more games than they could. They should just start this thing over, trade everybody, start from scratch. It might actually happen. We don't know for sure. But Anthony Davis has been dropped from their intro hype video, which is very interesting to me.
That's weird. Is that petty? Is that what you would describe as petty or no?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is a little bit petty. It's one thing to do what I feel is the best thing organizationally and not play him, but it's another thing to kind of rub it in or do that. I feel like that's a little bit unprofessional, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. But who is that up to in the long run? That's the question.
So as far as I know, where he's in the video is the very end. Like, they introduce kind of like all the players, and then it's him because it's his team, right? And they just cut that part out. Like, it just stops right before he's entered in the video.
So this is like a last-minute edit, it feels like.
Yeah, I don't know who made that decision. Obviously, someone higher up did. The interesting thing for me is that their general manager, Dell Demps, people are saying, NBA people, I should say, are mentioning that he is not answering his phone for any deals right now.
Looking at golfing with some investors, looking at some ignore, decline.
I think that
decline.
If that is true, because I don't know if that's true, that's just what people say. If that's true, I feel like that's an indictment on him. Like, are you kidding me? Your general manager just decides, I'm not going to talk to people right now because I'm upset.
If you're the owner, you're like, WTF?
If I'm the owner, I go get another GM is what I do. I don't want my general manager to ever not pick up the phone for any trade offer. You have to talk to people. Pick up the phone. See what they're willing to offer. Counter offer something ridiculous. Maybe they say, screw you. I'm not giving you all that for him. And then you move on. But you got to at least pick up the phone. If that is true, that just shows the petty level, and that shows the decision making that's going on in New Orleans, which would be, in my opinion, very poor.
Makes sense. I would be a little. If I'm the owner, I'd be like, okay, you need to actually answer the phone, because what if we get one of the best offers ever for arguably the best player ever, or not ever, but in the league at the moment? Like, you're being stubborn at the moment. Like, you got to make a choice. You got to answer some of these calls. You can't just ignore everybody. He's a commodity. You got to go after this. But
I think it looks like increasingly by the day that he won't get traded before the trade deadline, that'll probably be.
It sounds like they're just going to bench him throughout the season, though.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that's the right move, or would you play him?
I don't. It's a tough decision overall, because he's not going to be wanting to play with you guys. So maybe you shouldn't play him. Maybe it's the right move in the long run.
I mean, Anthony Davis has the right to tell a team that he doesn't want to play for them, but then they also have the right to not play him, right? Like, if his heart's not into it, if he's not playing for the team, playing for the city, playing for the fans, I think you got to move on.
Yeah,
and I don't think
I get it.
And you know what? There will be fans that are upset. There will be people that say, I'm a Pelicans fan, and Anthony Davis is my favorite player, and I want to see him play. But he already told you, that he's not going to play for your team any longer. Mm-hmm. And I think it's in the Pelicans' best interest to make sure that they get the best return on their investment, because he is a big investment. And this is the kind of trade that could ruin a team. It's the kind of trade that could elevate a team. Mm-hmm. We've seen it happen before. We saw Denver and New York Knicks do the Carmelo trade where Denver benefited. We've seen it happen both ways, So it will be tough in the short term until he's traded. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's. We really don't know.
I think it makes more sense for them to wait, though. I'll be completely honest, unless they're just absolutely blown away by an offer. And I think they should answer the phone. Don't get me wrong; they should entertain every opportunity. But in the summer, there will be more teams in on Anthony Davis. There will.
Oh yeah.
The Celtics, first off. They might have the best offer. They're going to be able to trade for him. They can't trade for him now. Whoever has the number one pick, what if that team decides I'd rather have Anthony Davis than Zion Williamson, which is definitely possible. Anthony Davis is that good of a player,
And he's going to contribute.
Like, if it's the New York Knicks.
We honestly don't know what Zion is going to bring to the table.
If the New York Knicks get the number one pick, they could potentially offer Porzingis, Zion, maybe a player or two for Anthony Davis, which might be attractive. It might be an interesting trade for the Pelicans.
There's going to be backlash from that. There's going to be like a controversy, like, was this the right move or not? That's going to be the talk. Like, is it worth it to give up Zion, who arguably is the next LeBron James, that people are saying, to become...
What's crazy is that you could be arguably the next LeBron James and still not have the potential as Anthony Davis. That's actually a crazy thing to think about, right?
Yeah. That's a tough one to look at.
Because Anthony Davis has that kind of potential. Like, Anthony Davis does have, we've already seen it. Like, he is one of the best 5 players in the NBA.
Well, I'm gonna have to say he's in like the same position roughly as LeBron had in Cleveland with like nobody, and he went to a championship game and he can't get past the first round.
Who's that, Davis?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's, 25 years old?
Yeah,
we'll
true.
See.
Okay.
He's also, like, who's been on his team? That's the thing,
Well, last year LeBron really had no one.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. LeBron is also in the East.
True. Very true.
Like, if Anthony Davis and the Pelicans were in the East, they might have been the one seed once or twice over the last few years.
I don't know. The Raptors were pretty good last year. I might still have to put the Raptors above them.
Well, DeMarcus did get hurt last year, so it would have been tough for the Pelicans, but probably the year before.
Yeah. Do you think that trade was not worth it in the long run for the Pelicans?
Not worth it in the long run, but necessary at the time.
Yeah. Was it 1 year?
Cousins was there for 1.5 years. He got hurt. He did good the first year, and then he got hurt.
Man, that's a disappointment for both sides of that.
And when they traded Buddy Hield at the time, Buddy Hield was struggling pretty badly.
And he's been playing extremely well lately.
Yeah, so it didn't work out for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I understand why they did it. They were trying to pair two superstars. They were trying to...
It looked like they were going to be unstoppable.
Yeah, and a lot of people thought, you could have these two guys. This could be your Tim Duncan, David Robinson for the next 10 years. So I get what their
it made sense at the time.
Was.
Just disappointment results.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Ultimately, results are all that matter. So.
Yep.
It's a results-based business. Did you see that Enes Kanter finally got to play last night for the Knicks? And
he kissed the court?
Yeah, he kissed the logo.
Was that like a shot, or do you think that was just him trying to be funny?
No, I think there was I think he was being genuine.
Because
I think he was happy to play.
It does look like.
Say what you want about Kanter, but I think he plays hard every single game, and
yeah.
I think he loves the game. Like, I do truly feel that in an era where it's very cynical. Athletes can be cynical, and people can say like, "Oh, they only play for the money." I do think that Enes Kanter truly, truly loves basketball, and I think it does hurt him that he doesn't get to play. I think it does affect him.
Yeah, this is true, and overall, you got to look at the facts that. And he might be gone from the Knicks by the deadline. We really don't know what the situation's going to end up being. Like, there was talks of him going to Sacramento. There's talks of him going to some other places, but I really don't know where he's going to be by deadline time. And if he stays in New York, is he going to even play?
We got a week. We got a week until the deadline.
It's next Thursday?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Why Thursday?
They wanted to get it done before All-Star Weekend.
Gotcha.
They don't want the DeMarcus Cousins situation, actually. That's why they changed the rule. That's literally why they changed it, is because they don't want an athlete getting traded on camera like DeMarcus Cousins was to the Pelicans. So,
yeah.
Anyways,
That was interesting.
Anyways, should we go to a break?
Yeah, we can invest in a break.
Yeah, that sounds about right. We'll go to a break, and then we do have news regarding NBA, but more news in the NFL. Also in college football, there is an update with a coach and possible extension. So, anyways, when investing and planning for your retirement, it's always best to get advice from the experts. Best-selling author Harry Dent, America's #1 economist, says, "The dark window is open. There's an opportunity to rapidly boost your retirement savings before the greatest stock market crash in American history. But this dark window won't be open for long. You can make 10 times the annual stock market gain in just a few short months." According to the research of renowned Harvard economist Harry Dent, though, this window could slam shut later this year, and nobody on Wall Street is expecting it. This dark window is something bigger by far than anything he's predicted up to this point, and you can make 10 times the annual average stock market gain. Find out more by going to www.harrydentforecast.com. There's a very short time to take advantage of this dark window. So again, go to www.harrydentforecast.com to learn more.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back, everyone, to the GSMC Sports Podcast. Just finished talking with the NBA. Now let's go back to the NFL since we are close to the Super Bowl. But I must ask you, this is a very important question I've been thinking about. Tom Brady is making his third consecutive Super Bowl appearance, which is a great feat, no doubt about it. And it hasn't been done, I believe, since the Bills in the 90s when they lost 4 straight. But my question to you is, if he loses this Super Bowl and he loses 2 straight, would you say this affects his legacy?
Was this a serious question?
Well, I'm saying, like, will people look at him more of a, like, he was great in the beginning of his career in the Super Bowls and then he kind of lost it at the end of the Super Bowl run?
This is a serious question.
Like, give me your honest opinion.
I'm just making sure that this is a serious question. Like, if he loses, then people will say he's not the greatest quarterback of all time? Or?
No. I'm just saying, like, is the mystique gone a little bit?
I don't know why that would be.
Losing 2 straight? You don't see why that could be a...
I mean, he's playing in the Super Bowl every single year.
Well, you can say, okay, the Bills went to 4 straight Super Bowls, lost them all 4.
And they didn't win at all.
Yeah, if he goes to 2...
How many has he won?
Granted, he's won 5, but 2 in a row he's lost. That would say, like, oh, he could have won more. He could have been better.
Well, he could have won more even if he wins this one. That's all I'm saying. Like, even if he wins this one, how many did he lose?
See, that's 2, 3, 4.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you really want me to say other than I think somebody who would say that this affected his legacy, I think that would be a ridiculous point of view that I really wouldn't entertain, to be honest with you, because he's in the Super Bowl every single year. Pretty much, half of his career he's been in the Super Bowl? Every year, like every other year he makes a Super Bowl in his career, and it's only gotten more and more and more as he's gotten older. So it's like, I don't know. He still is the most successful quarterback of all time, and he will be no matter what happens Sunday. And if he does it again Sunday, it'll just be a higher mountain to climb for the next person. So
yeah, true. And I feel bad for whoever's the next quarterback in New England, that's for sure. But I think and then you got to look at the haters side, and what I mean by that is Deflategate and Tuck Rule and all those other aspects, Spygate as well. And people really a lot of people really push that under the rug, at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. He's been suspended for cheating individually. His team has been
forfeited draft picks.
Yeah, his team has been fined and suspended or reprimanded. So they've had to forfeit draft picks, like you mentioned. So yeah, I mean, things have happened for sure. And if people say that goes against his legacy, they're going to feel the same way, no matter what. Even if he wins the next 5, 6, 7 Super Bowls in a row, I mean, people are still going to say, yeah, but he cheated, or yeah, but they cheated. Like it's kind of one of those things where you lend yourself available to when you decide to do something outside the rules. I mean, if you get caught, then people are going to always question you.
Well, since he's been accused of being a cheater and he got suspended for it, someone video recorded. It was like someone random on Instagram recorded the ref saying, "I got your back" to Brady during one of the final drives in the AFC Championship game. And there's been a lot of that, in where the refs like shake their head or nod their head to Tom Brady of some kind. And there was also, this is something that a lot of people don't really look at, but there was, I think it was 2-3 years ago, maybe even sooner. The clock was winding down on the play clock, and he motions his hand upwards, and all of a sudden there was 10 seconds left on the play clock instead of 3. It was the weirdest thing. I'm not sure if that was an edit.
I don't know, man. This is like a bunch of crap, if you ask me. Like, who cares?
I'm just stating facts. I'm not saying like that's anything else. I'm just saying this is what actually happened.
Yeah, well, we see quarterbacks do that all the time, is to reset the play clock. I see it in every single football game. I mean, I literally see it in every single football game.
I'm just stating actual things that happen. I'm not saying they mean anything. I'm just saying they happened.
Okay.
So don't call me out on crap that's facts.
Well, I mean, I don't know what you mean by facts. You've seen it. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a fact. But
the ref saying I got your back is a fact that actually happened.
So he said that.
He says, "I got your back." It's pretty
Okay.
obvious. I'm not sure what that
And
meant.
what was the context? Yeah, that's the thing.
He was in the huddle, so I didn't really know what that meant. Maybe I got your back in the sense of like a timeout. I have no idea, to be honest with you. Can be anything to that. But there's always going to be controversy around Tom Brady, regardless of what happens.
There's controversy around everyone, though. Like,
Not
honestly,
as much as Tom Brady.
Well, because he's played in more big games than everybody else. That's the thing. Like that's literally, you have to take it in context. Like, yes, Spygate happened. Yes, Deflategate happened. But if you're talking about like, oh, a referee said I got your back, but here's this 3-second clip of him saying it in the middle of the third quarter in one particular game. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's a fact that was said, but we don't know what the context of that was, right? Like,
True.
we don't know. If you're saying like, oh yeah, a quarterback asked for the play clock to be reset because it started way too early. Okay, we see that every single game. Like, I've seen Jared Goff do that. I've seen any quarterback in the league do it. I see it every single game where it's like you see the coach on the sideline or the quarterback raising the hand saying, hey, like, you just snapped the ball and there's 10 seconds. Or you just placed the ball and there's 10 seconds on the play clock. That's clearly wrong. So then they'll go ahead and you'll see the referee make the sign to put the time back on the clock.
But all I'm saying is that Brady is looked at, for everything he does, it's looked at as, is he cheating or not? Mm-hmm. That's a serious...
I mean, I get that, but that's with every franchise that's great. The 49ers in the 80s were said cheated all the time.
How?
Salary cap, going around it, paying stuff on the side.
Oh.
How about them? Bill Parcells even said Bill Walsh was a cheater. Bill Parcells said Bill Walsh was a cheater many times. How whenever they played the 49ers, that their headsets would stop working, which means the 49ers would sabotage their own headsets so that they would stop working. So then the New York Giants couldn't use their headsets. So both teams would have to play the game without any communication from the offense coordinator to the quarterback. But the 49ers knew their first 25 plays, 15 plays scripted, and they would run those plays where the Giants were always like, oh, crap. Oh, what do we do? Okay, now everything is running way slower. It's one of those things where if you're successful, someone's always going to be talking about how you're successful.
But I think the main question is, was like Bill Walsh ever suspended for this or reprimanded for this?
No, he wasn't.
I think that's where...
And it was because the new book that came out regarding this came out like 3 months ago. It was a big deal when it came out.
I don't read.
Talking about Bill Walsh and Bill Parcells. Bill Parcells told him famously the last time, if you do this crap again, I swear to God I'm going to out you into the league. Because it happened like 3 times. And the third time he said, I swear to God, if this happens again, you're done. Bill Parcells' words.
Yeah, but there's always like... But the thing is with, like, I understand that is controversial, no doubt about it.
I'm just saying, like, we're sports fans. Sports fans are idiots. Like, literally the biggest
You're an
idiots
idiot.
on the planet. Yeah, when it comes to my team, yeah, absolutely. We say stupid stuff all the time.
There is some...
You win, you're a cheater.
I mean, look at the New Orleans fans, for example.
This is what happens. Your team won, you cheated, or the refs screwed my team. Like, that's literally the only 2 outcomes that
That's
come
why
from
I
everything.
feel bad for referees more than anybody. I feel bad for the referees that are going to be reffing the Super Bowl because they're going to be looked at and despised more than anyone else. Our refs, I don't think refs are really paid enough to be that much hated. Because, honestly, we have no idea what they go through when they walk to their cars at the end of the game. Because people easily could be waiting for them and just saying the worst kinds of things. So this all goes down to, like, I feel like there's honestly a lot of sympathy for these refs because they're just, honestly, they're following these rules that are just implemented by the league. And, yes, they're some of those calls are ridiculous when you look at them overall. Like, you can't put your full body on a quarterback after making a routine tackle. Like, that's roughing the passer. Like that, there's always that talk about what is a tackle anymore or what is a catch anymore. But it's honestly them following the rules, and this all leads to like the refs are taking the brunt of a lot of things that they have no control over.
Yeah. True.
Which I always had a problem with. Which this is why like I'm always worried about the Super Bowl when it comes down to this kind of stuff because when it's based off of a lot of controversy, and let's be honest, this Super Bowl is a lot of it, the storylines are based off how the Rams got there. So there's going to be a lot of interesting, let's say, theories of how this game's going to play out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I don't know.
But aren't you like? Don't you think in these certain situations, you look at the refs and saying, wonder what this calls, how they get to react to this call based off like home crowd. I know this is a neutral field, but do you think because of what happened in New Orleans will affect how they ref in this Super Bowl coming up?
No. I mean, I think they're aware of the situation. I think the referees know that I know the referees are aware of what happened. I know they've been briefed. I know they've been talked to. But at the end of the day, they always know that they're under scrutiny. They always know that every decision that they make will come under a microscope. I don't know. I don't see anything different in terms of how they're going to approach it. We might see more flags. I think it's possible we see more flags, especially early in the game, because maybe a referee is worried about a little bit more about missing a particular call, so they might err on the side of call it rather than let it go.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I don't know. I don't think this is that big of a deal. What happened in the New Orleans game was, a one-time situation. I mean, it was a rare occurrence, is all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just that's gonna be the mind of a lot of people when it comes to this game.
Of course, when you watch the Super Bowl, I don't know who you watch it with, but when I watch it with like 100 people, it's gonna be like, oh man, did you see the Saints get screwed on that call? Like, yeah, I saw it, and we'll talk about it, and we'll joke about it, and we'll laugh about it, and somebody during the game will be like, oh, the refs are doing this again. The refs are favoring the Rams again. That's going to be the conundrum, actually, because you talk about you were just talking about Patriots. A lot of fans, a lot of haters, right? Say
yeah, of course.
A lot of haters say the Patriots get away with a lot of stuff, right? Or they benefit from calls a lot, right?
Yeah.
A lot of haters say that. So now, what are the haters going to do when it's the Rams and the Patriots, and they're both are going to be at this crossroads of, oh God, which team is benefiting more? The Rams, who benefited from the NFC Championship game, or the Patriots, who win the Super Bowl almost every single year? Mm-hmm. It's going to be the ultimate conundrum in these people's heads.
Oh, absolutely. And I think I think everyone's going to be talking about once it comes down. If the Rams hold the Lombardi Trophy at the end of the night on Sunday, they're going to be saying they didn't. A lot of people are going to say they didn't earn it, or one way or another, because of what happened in the NFC Championship.
A lot of people are going to say a lot of dumb stuff,
Yeah, and I hate the fact that that's going to be. It's almost like their championship is taken away from them. No,
I don't know, man. Every year I feel like that's how people say that.
I don't know. The Eagles. People feel like that for the Eagles. I think everyone's just like they finally won. It's rather than.
It's just. It depends who you talk to. Like, it depends, who. I don't know. You think Cowboys fans weren't saying, like, oh, man, the Eagles got so lucky they didn't deserve it. Like, if Nick Foles plays the whole season, they don't win, but it's just because teams weren't ready for him. You know what I mean? Like, people have their own. They always have their excuses. Like, they always. It's just fans. Let's go back to what I said earlier. Fans are idiots. Like, literally. Mm-hmm. Like, that's what happens. I want to talk about Patrick Peterson apologized to Cardinals fans for requesting the trade. He was playing golf yesterday in Arizona. He got on a microphone and said that he apologized and he wants to stay in Arizona and stay for years and years.
Is that because he knows he can't go anywhere else? He's not going to get traded, so he kind of backpedaled on his words?
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Because it didn't look like he was going to get traded regardless if he asked or not. And when he asked and he tried it out, he didn't get what he wanted, so he's like, "Oh, I'm stuck here. I don't want to be hated by my team's fans, so I better do what I can to make it up to them in some way."
Rob Ryan got hired to be the Redskins' inside linebackers coach. Yes, Rob Ryan, that Rob Ryan. So he is back in the NFL coaching after a 2-year hiatus. Inside linebackers coach, pretty particular role there for a former defensive coordinator. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's a very specific job, isn't it? Not just linebackers coach.
I wonder why he couldn't get a higher job.
He's had some great defenses over the years, but let's face it, the last when he was the defense coordinator for the Bills, they were pretty bad. There's an infamous gif of him just looking like he wants to, like, remember that, you know what I'm talking about, the sad look on his face? That gif of Rex, or
maybe.
Rex Ryan.
I know
Rob Ryan?
Rob and Rex are just very good at their expressions, their responses to things.
But I think it's more along the lines of, like, we'll start off small and work up for you.
Also, LeBron has been ruled out tonight against the Clippers, so
That's 18 games now?
his first game could be Saturday against the Warriors. Interesting enough, that was the last team he played against, was the Warriors on Christmas Day, where he got injured. So,
coincidence? I think not.
Will the Lakers play LeBron on Saturday? What do you think?
Against the Warriors, honestly, they're going to just tell LeBron, what do you want to do? It's all up to LeBron at this point.
Do you think he'll play?
I honestly don't think so. I don't think he wants
a tough game.
I don't think
come back against.
That's my point. I don't think he's going to go back to the toughest matchup on the schedule. I think he's going to go back against a weaker team so he can test it out and not be fully pressured. You know.
Yeah. The Sooners have given Lincoln Riley, their head coach, a bonus. It looks like his salary goes from $4 to $6 million. He also is eligible to get $1 million more every year after this. So he is getting a raise, a nice raise, a $2 million raise. Pretty good, 33%.
Man, I wish I can get a raise that's in the seven figures.
Other than that, we are done for today. Tomorrow, join us as we give our Super Bowl predictions, as we're finally here. We finally got through the 2 weeks. It feels like it's dragged on a little bit, as it always does. We'll talk about our predictions. We'll also give our favorite Super Bowl foods to eat.
Wait, that's what we're doing?
Yeah, we'll do that too. We'll do our predictions, but also what we look forward to eating during the big game.
Okay. I guess we're going to pig out on Sunday. Guess everyone is. That's when my diet... My diet starts Monday. Honestly, I'm doing a juice cleanse on Monday, so that's going to be rough.
Gotcha.
Yep.
All right, cool. So we'll do that, and also everything else regarding the world of sports, especially the NBA games tonight, we'll cover tomorrow.
But it'll be a special Super Bowl Sunday-esque show, so we'll see you tomorrow.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.